things to get to.
I know we're still
I had to get off
a
my
week
chest.
removed from the Ryder Cup,
but
but I joked before we did our show last week, Stephen, to the boss man here, Brian D., Director of Content for ESPN Milwaukee, that we were probably going to go 2 hours. I made the joke, hey, sorry, I know we've got baseball schedule, it's the wild card round, but I'm going to blow through that stop sign, and I'm going to, and after the show, he's like, yeah, I should have given you 2 hours. Your energy level was a 10 to start. It may have been a 12 by the time you guys finished up. So we still have some Ryder Cup hangover here on the tee as we're, again, I'm still licking my wounds from Team USA's 15-13 loss.
Yeah, it's still hard to process.
At Bethpage Black. And we spent a little bit of time on it at the end of last week, but again, there were a lot of things to get to. I had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I had to get off my chest.
We know.
And I still have a lot of those issues I still need to get off my chest. But looking forward now for Team USA and trying to figure out who the captain is going to be. And heck, I'll tell you what, I mean, I think Europe has an issue figuring out who their captain is going to be. If it's not going to be Luke Donald, it seems to be, at least on a lot of the things that I have read and seen, that more people seem to think that Luke Donald is done. That he's done basically gave up the last 3 years, dedicated his life to making Team Europe the most successful they could be, one at home, one on the road.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it for Luke Donald.
I mean, think about it. He kind of has that Stricker thing going right now. It's like, what else can you achieve at this point?
Yeah.
He won back-to-back. I think he's only the third Ryder Cup captain ever to win back-to-back Ryder Cups.
He'd be the only one to win 3.
Of course.
So that would be the carrot. And look, if I'm Team Europe, that's where I start, right? I offer it to Luke. I have to get the no from you have to get the no from Luke before you move on.
Of course.
And whether or not he says yes or no it's really anybody's guess. And because it's so fresh after, and I'm sure he's exhausted, it feels like a no now, but that could turn into yes if they ask him 2 or 3 months from now.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it too is if you're Luke Donald, you won an away Ryder Cup, 5th team ever to do that in European history. You also look at it as you built the foundation for arguably the most dominant stretch of European Ryder Cup golf that we have seen in quite some time, maybe of all time. And regardless of what happens, if they go out and win without Luke Donald, he's the one who built that foundation. So he's still going to get the love, even though he might not directly be the Ryder Cup captain. If he goes and wins again, okay, he wins 3 in a row. At what point do you stop? I imagine that he wants this to be part of his legacy. It is his defining legacy for a guy who was number 1 in the world. A lot of people forget that he was the best golfer in the world at one point when Tiger, was going through his stuff.
Hey, it doesn't matter. You got the number 1 in the world.
Correct.
Again.
But I think Luke, I imagine, knows what he wants to do. And maybe some people know what he wants to do. But at this point, as a proud American, I'm hoping that he's done.
Right?
I mean, every button he pushes works, and that team has rallied around him. And we spoke about it at length last week when recupping the Ryder Cup. You can listen back on Wisconsin On Demand on that. And I just think that his attention to detail is what separated him as a captain. And
we need somebody like that on the U.S. side.
Yeah.
Again, it's not about, to me, copying exactly what Team Europe does, but it is paying attention to those details. And it seemed like, again, we're stumping for the home guy here, but it seemed like Strick paid attention to those details.
Yep.
And maybe it's just revisionist history of looking at the guys who have won at home, but he paid attention to those. Steve Stricker paid attention to those details. In 2008, Paul Azinger obviously paid attention to those details. And those are really, to me, the 2 most successful captains of the last 20 years for the Ryder Cup. They paid attention to those details. I don't think that Strick was orchestrating rah-rah videos the way we see with Team Europe. No, he was just, hey, I want to do whatever I can do to make sure you guys are ready to play. And I'm going to make sure that I put you in the best position. And I feel like Keegan did not do that. Whether that was because he's a player still and he just doesn't have the time as he's, trying to win a PGA Tour playoff event or try to win a major, as he's preparing for those types of things. If it's, okay, he's focused on that, and I understand he does have time to figure some of these things out because, again, a lot of the details weren't great for Team USA.
Yeah,
However you want to cut it, at the end of the day, the details weren't great. And that if they want to be competitive in this again, because here's an interesting thing that I heard on a podcast this last week. On the Friday podcast, Johnson Wagner joined Andy Johnson. And Johnson Wagner had been pointing out that he does not think the President's Cup is something that is advantageous for the United States.
Currently.
That, yes, they don't really use it as a breeding ground for Ryder Cups. You know, the fact that they have to do it every 2 years can lead to some fatigue for some of these guys. Like, oh, man, I've got to play this. Whereas for Team Europe, they're chomping at the bit because they only get to do it every 2 years. Where Team USA, that's not the case. And since the Presidents came along, President's Cup in 1994 came along, Team USA is 4-11 in Ryder Cups. And he doesn't think that is a coincidence. And I have a tendency to agree. So it's really hard to get everybody on the same page, I think, in that instance. But whoever the next U.S. Ryder Cup captain is needs to pay attention to some of the details. Again, some of the details that I think were vastly overlooked that just cannot be.
Well, I can tell you, I don't think President's Cup is going away anytime soon because it's put on by the PGA Tour, not PGA of America. It's very different.
Oh, yes, and that's why. And that's why, at times, like Stricker was a captain. Like it felt like for a while, the conveyor belt of captaincy for Team USA was okay. You're going to be an assistant captain. See how it works. We're going to give you a captaincy for the President's Cup. See how that goes, and if that goes well, and you want it, you can eventually be a captain for the Ryder Cup.
Yep.
Like I feel that happened for Davis Love. I feel it happened for Furyk, happened for Stricker. Like it's happened a lot of different times. And I feel like we've gone away from that. Whether that's because guys like Phil went to live, whatever, it's just they've gone away from that. And now there's even more disconnect between the two than there's ever been.
Well, and I think that's a perfect segue to, the conversation that I really wanted to have. When we got off the air last week, I was like, I felt like we didn't spend enough time talking about who the next Ryder Cup captain is going to be. We made a quick prediction, but I really want to dive into it because I do think that is what separated USA and Europe, to your point about Keegan. I don't necessarily think Keegan was the worst captain. I just don't think he had enough time. A lot of that was self-inflicted wounds because he wanted to play. He wanted to be a captain. PGA of America wanted him to do both.
Why does everybody want to make excuses for Keegan?
I'm just telling you that I don't think it was fully on Keegan. I think it was partly on the PGA of America for setting Keegan up to fail as well.
Then say no. Then say no.
He didn't know he was going to necessarily play. I mean, he had to take the bird in hand and say, I want to be a part of the Ryder Cup any way possible. Of course I'm going to say yes. The problem was that they said you need to be one or the other, not both. And he tried to be both for far too long in the PGA Tour season. He won the Travelers, which we said that week after he won, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And it was a problem, even though when he announced his captain's picks, he said, I made this decision weeks ago. It's still, the narrative continued to be about Keegan. And it continued to be about him being a playing captain far longer than it should have ever been. And the media is going to twist this as much as they possibly can. That is literally, like, we have a show designed about talking about PGA Tour and the Ryder Cup, and we were strung along the entire time too. We were excited, we were disappointed, we felt the full spectrum of emotions. All of the players in that clubhouse, locker room, whatever you want to call it, they had to have felt that too. They read, they see people reacting to it.
Yeah, and look, I don't
eventually, like when they hear enough, how great Luke Donald is, how great European the team is, and the camaraderie. Like, eventually, that's going to make you feel a certain way.
Yeah,
and I think that's the problem that we have right now.
Does Keegan have a second suitcase he now cannot unpack? Does he have a suitcase from this Ryder Cup that goes next to the one from 2012?
Yeah, probably.
These are the
he's going to start stacking up
suitcases
suitcases.
I want to know.
But
Yeah, here's the problem. Like again, I can't trust Team USA saying, "Oh yeah," because they did this. They did this in Paris as well with Zach Johnson. We know Zach Johnson was a terrible captain. We know this. We know this for a fact at this point. And yet, to a man, they all stood up for ZJ. In the aftermath.
Zach was the one who called Keegan and told him you're going to be the next captain.
Yeah, and that's, again, that's what drives me absolutely bananas.
Here's what I
think. We can like Keegan as a person, but still admit he was a bad captain. Can we do that? Can I get you to do that, please? He was a terrible captain. He let all the details slide. And I don't care what the reasons are at the end of the day, Stephen. I really don't.
I think saying all the details slide is a bit hyperbolic. I think there were certain ones, and he was willing to wear them and say it publicly. He didn't help himself by saying, I could have set the course up better. That didn't. He could have.
Well, because I have eyes, Stephen. I have eyes. I can see you could have set up the course. The fact that they set up that I was talking to somebody who's like, yeah, my brother plays out there quite a bit, and he was really disappointed. I'm like, yeah, because when your brother plays that course there, guess what happens? It's a lot harder for weekend hacks like you and myself when they go pay Bethpage Black on a random Tuesday in July.
Can I tell you what I want to happen versus what I think might happen?
I'm sorry.
I don't want Keegan to be the captain.
Yep.
But I think he's going to be because I do think that this is going to become more about revenge and the guys around him rallying for Keegan once again and him trying to get it right and him trying to own his legacy and going on a road and, payback, revenge, whatever you want to call it. But I do think, to what you discussed earlier about not being able to use the President's Cup to your advantage, the right decision is to have Brandt Snedeker be the next Ryder Cup captain because he's going to be the President's Cup captain in 2026 in Chicago, right here in Medina. And you make that a breeding ground for getting guys and pairings and trying. I mean, it hasn't been competitive in the President's Cup in a long time. So try some things out, see what works, see what players will do. You're 1 year out of the Ryder Cup. And, take some swings, take some risks, try to build some team culture and use that to your advantage because Europe doesn't have that to do to their advantage right now. And that's potentially an angle in which you can gain an edge.
Part of the problem for the President's Cup is that Team USA just usually ends up boat racing the internationals. So you kind of have like a false sense of, this pairing can work, like we've done before with Scotty and Sam Burns. I would love to see that to be
But these guys are so good. Gabe, these guys are so good. They just need the self-belief. They need to play with the same guy and realize this works, and we're going to make it work.
It doesn't work.
I'm not just saying. I'm not saying it's Scotty and Sam Burns. I'm just saying you need to create pairings that build camaraderie and culture, and say this works, this doesn't. Here's why it works, and this is why we're going to do it there.
Honestly, what I would want to see in the President's Cup, and it'll never happen. It's never going to happen. Scotty, you get the year off, pal. Now again, Scotty's going to finish number 1 in these point standings, right? So we're going to have to come up with an injury for Scotty, so he's not playing in the President's Cup. Xander, taking the year off. JT, taking the year off. Let's get some of these really young guys. Let's get Akshay Bhatia in there. Let's get some of these guys who might be coming up, the Michael Lasassos, Gordon Sargent, Luke Clinton, Jackson Quaven, guys like that, and get them in there just to try to play some team golf. Again, maybe if by sitting some of these guys that are your stalwarts and playing in this thing every single year. And look, Bryson's going to get the year off because, as you mentioned, the President's Cup is strictly a PGA Tour thing. So, no, but it doesn't matter how well Bryson does in the majors this next year. He's not playing in the President's Cup because the PGA Tour owns it. And I would love to see some of those big names that are playing in these things annually. Hey, you get a break from team golf this year. You get a break because then that way you're going to be missing it. And when we come back trying to win this Ryder Cup in 2027 over in Ireland, you're going to be ready and chomping at the bit for it. Again, that is never going to happen because the PGA Tour is never going to let a stud like Scotty Scheffler not play in the President's Cup. Yeah, and that's my dream for the President's Cup.
I disagree, though, because I think that you have to think about the process more than the actual result. Like, you have to think about creating positive energy between pairings and between the group that you're going to send overseas to Ireland.
The problem, these things can change so much even from year to year.
Yeah, but you're talking about taking your horses out. So it would change more with people that aren't going to compete.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. So taking a look, and I know we're going to get into what we think 2027 could look like in a little bit here. But when you look at the turnover from 2 years to 2 years, and I guess I didn't even do this for the President's Cup, but it's 6 guys. From 2023 to only 6 guys from this current team played in 2023. And it's kind of a similar number from 23 to 21. It's around 5-6 guys that kind of get churned every year. And again, nobody saw, and he qualified on points. Nobody saw JJ Spawn coming, right? Nobody saw JJ coming. And I do not want to demean JJ Spawn. I feel like I have defended him. I have defended him in group texts that we are in.
Yeah, I think JJ Spawn should be there in 27, personally.
I think he very well could be because that's how good his year was. But nobody saw that coming because he won a major. He finished second to Rory in the Players. He had a tremendous season. And same thing with Brian Harman. And honestly, if you told me Brian Harman was on the team in 27, I'd be cool with that. Because that's a bulldog that I think is going to be ready to compete and ready to go. But there's just, who saw Max Homa's, Max didn't even fall off. I don't even know how to describe the fall off for Max.
I mean, this past week he's talking about just trying to finish inside the top 100 this year. That says everything you need to know about Max Homa.
And he was the best player.
He kind of fell victim of the equipment devil, right? He leaned into a brand. He got new clubs. I think he just tried to take on too much this year.
But it's not
caddies.
just that. Different swing. Like he went through swing change, caddy change, and equipment change all at the same time. So he was going through a lot of change. And I have hope that Max can return. But again, it's just, the guys just fall off. The fact that Colin Morikawa, I mean, let's be honest. For Colin, he was broken by what happened at the Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, he never recovered from that.
He never recovered from what happened at the
Arnold Palmer. The guy who
was
a top 3 golfer during the Florida swing.
Yeah.
And post-Florida swing, he wasn't a top 50 golfer.
And should have been in the envelope.
Correct.
But it's so, and again, so that to me makes it even harder than outside of, again, that probably Scotty and JT and Xander and Cantlay are probably going to be on the President's Cup team. If you could find a way to give them a little bit of a break, I think that would be helpful.
I want to do this captain's conversation.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I knew you were going to get too excited. We tried to be organized, but the emotions got the best of us. This is what the Ryder Cup does to us. It's why it's the greatest event in golf, though. We can spend the next 5
You don't have to fall on the sword. You don't have to fall. I mean, I don't want to
make it... I came in with a plan, and we're going to push that plan to the second segment.
Yeah, it turns out I'm the one who punched you in the face. Everyone thinks they have a plan until I punch you in the face.
I have a number of captain names, and I want to hear your reaction to all of them. I already told you who I think should be the captain. In 27, I'm going to list you some other names, and I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay, we are going to dive into that coming up next here on the Tee, and we are presented by our friends at Majestic Oaks, a beautiful golf course. And look, I mean, now we're finally starting to get into fall golf. I know we've gotten that little cold that's now finally starting to come through, but that's a great place to go. Try some fall golf down in Delavan. Make sure you check out their family golf nights. We're for under $15, golf, drinks, snacks, and a cart, all for under $15 per person during their family golf nights. You cannot beat it. LakeLawnResort.com is the website. Check it out. Learn more. Book your tee time today for Majestic Oaks. We continue to talk about the Ryder Cup, and I feel every time we talk about that Erin Hills, we talk about how Erin Hills would be an amazing Ryder Cup course. Like, that's the pipe dream. That in our lifetime, we get another Ryder Cup, and maybe it's at Erin Hills, but you can play it. Like championship
14,
golf.
15, 16, 17, 18 in match play?
I mean...
I don't know how many would get to 18.
That's the problem. But still... The fact that you have
you could tell me 12, 13, 14,
that's what I'm saying.
15.
The entire back 9 slaps, so it's fine. Right. If you get to 18, awesome.
Gosh.
If you don't, it's not that big of a deal. But you can play it. They've hosted so many great USGA events, including the men's US Open, the women's US Open, the men's amateur. They're going to be hosting the women's amateur. The 4 biggest events in the USGA are all going to be held at Erin Hills. And you can play it as well. Book your 2026 tee time right now at erinhills.com.
We just need the USGA to run the Ryder Cup, and then they can bring it to Erin Hills.
How big of a coup would that be? Like, everybody's talking about the PGA Tour buying it from the PGA of America.
Because then they'll bring it to Erin. We'll get one in Wisconsin. They love us here at the USGA.
They do. The USGA absolutely
Friends of
does. Show. They love us in Wisconsin. They love seeing us, that's for sure. Okay, I promise to be better. I promise I am going to lock it down. And you want to go through some list of people.
You're passionate about it. This is why we love talking about this event.
I just get fired up and it gets away from me. But you want to run through some names who you think could be the next U.S. captain for Ryder Cup when they go over to Adair Manor in 2027.
I'm just going to get this out of the way quickly because I know this is probably going to bring the most passion out of you.
Okay.
Tiger Woods.
Okay, so I've gone back and forth so much on Tiger. Just in the last week in my head about him being the Ryder Cup captain. I think there's a high probability he is.
Yep.
Just because of his relationship with J.P. McManus, who owns the golf course, who might slide a little money to Tiger under the table and be like, hey, you should be the right. Because I think what they wanted to do, I think what J.P. McManus wanted to do, who's also friends with Rory McIlroy, I think he wanted Tiger versus Rory. And Rory already nipped that in the bud when he said he was approached about being captain.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was approached.
It's also going to be the 100th year of the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of those elements that will probably be a little more theatrical than anything.
So Tiger has never really had that much success in team golf.
Yep.
Like, he was always a lone guy. He has changed a lot, obviously, as he's gotten older. And there's still a lot of guys who are very reverent towards him. Like, they grew up watching him. He's a big reason why they play golf. I think Tiger, if he committed to do it, I guess I trust Tiger at this point. If he committed to it, because he turned down this captaincy because he was already too busy doing the stuff with the PGA Tour and Live and trying to figure out the whole mess, and now with the money that was infused by the Strategic Sports Group in. If that is calming down and he feels he can dedicate his time towards it, I think Tiger could be a really good captain because he has the respect of everyone. And when it comes to golf, he has an incredibly analytical mind. Like Tiger was, yes, one of the most clutch putters that we've ever seen. One of the best ball strikers we have ever seen. But also his strategic acumen helped him become the guy who won 15 majors. And that strategic side of his brain, I think, could really be something that Team USA could use after some of the missteps that they've had the last 2 Ryder Cups. And as long as Tiger is willing, because let's be honest, Tiger's playing career is essentially done. He's a ceremonious golfer at this point, tearing his Achilles, doing all, I mean, how many more injuries can this man have? How many more can he sustain?
Yeah.
So his playing career is basically over. And
except with Charlie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, that's one tournament that they play in a scramble in December. And Luke Donald was largely a ceremonious golfer. Like, he played a handful of times, a bunch of times in Europe, in the U.S.
He still played in the PGA Championship this past year.
Yeah.
Actually was a leader for a little while.
Because that's when you're the Ryder Cup captain, the PGA America always extends you that invite. But at that point, I mean, Luke's kind of a ceremonious golfer. He's just kind of around because he wants to be around the guys. I think Tiger can fill that. So if they offer it to Tiger and he accepts, I think I've landed at a place where I would be really hopeful for Team USA because I think he has all of the makings of a good captain. It's just I don't know what kind of if he has his own stats guy, if he would have to clean house, what he would have to do behind the scenes. I don't know if he would be allowed to do that. I don't know if he would do that. But I think I would have hope for Tiger.
I just worry about when you're that successful at an individual sport.
Yeah.
Can you rally a team? I think his presence would do a lot for that room. I don't know if I could see him being a Ryder Cup captain and being really good at it because I still think that his aura is still too big at this point.
And I think that's fair.
And I think that we just learned what it looks like in the media to have a Ryder Cup be about a captain instead of about a team.
Yeah.
And I think we'd fall victim into that for a second consecutive
100%.
Ryder Cup. It would be all about Tiger.
I mean, because how can it not be? Everything Tiger does is always
that's
about
what I'm
Tiger.
saying. I mean, TGL was all about watching Tiger play golf again. He barely played, and he was terrible, right?
I mean, I'm not going to say he was terrible.
He wasn't great.
Could he have been
Didn't
better?
they lose every match?
No, they weren't the Rory McIlroy Boston.
Oh, it was Rory's team?
Yeah, Rory's team didn't win a damn match. Tiger's team got one.
Okay, there we go.
I mean, well, you know what?
I just think
you know what? That you bring up a great point because Tiger was the captain of that team and he took his. So
yeah.
You know what? Maybe he can't be trusted when it comes to picking players.
I just I think about Michael Jordan as an owner. I think about I don't think Jack was ever a Ryder Cup captain, right?
Oh, he was. Yeah,
was he?
Yeah, he was in the '80s.
Were they any good?
I believe he was a Ryder Cup captain twice. They won one. I believe he was the losing captain in '85. I want to say.
Okay. Well, clearly,
one of the times
no
with like
Donald,
Tony Jacklin
and
the Europeans
but
won. He was the captain for one of them.
I think Tiger's too big. I really do. I think ultimately the team first approach is where we need to go with our captaincy and a beloved captain. So Tiger, you think no?
I would get excited about it because I mean you bring up a lot of good points. I mean there's no avoiding it would be about Tiger.
Yeah.
There's just no way to avoid that.
And the PGA of America probably loves the idea of that, right? Because they won tickets, they won.
Yeah, people would fly over to go see Tiger. Hell,
TV ratings would be incredible.
Even though it's on super early in the morning, hell, I might fly over there to watch Tiger be the captain.
Yeah, I mean, he is the needle still. I mean,
it's shocking that that's still a true statement, but it's 100% a true statement. I would talk myself into his analytical brain ultimately being a good thing, but there are more concerns. And again, it's why I keep going back and forth in my own head.
I think Tiger being a part of it in some way is very important. I just don't know if you want him to be the face of it.
Yeah, I mean, him driving around looking stoic with an earpiece in, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. I mean, they showed MJ enough. He was just a fan.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. So you brought up Stricker last week.
Yep.
You believe he is the perfect blueprint for what the next Ryder Cup captain should be.
Yep.
You think they'd offer it to him?
I think they should. I don't think they will.
Do you think he'll say yes?
I think he would say no.
I agree.
I think he would say no. But again, he is so good. It's like we were just talking about with Luke Donald. Like, Luke is so good now. You offer it to him, you get the no there first, right? If you are in a spot with where Team USA is, to me, like, put down your dream list. Get the no's from the guys that would be your dream. Like, oh, man, I mean, he's probably going to say no, but at least get the no. Get the no from Strick first before you move on and start asking, you know, whoever else is on your list.
That's what makes it so fascinating, because if you're Keegan Bradley and you're not the first person that they're going back to, do you even want it again?
It depends. I mean, I would only want Keegan if he would, again, and I don't think he will, and I don't think he necessarily should, because
separate
he's a top
the
10.
two?
Yeah, because he's a top 10 player in the world right now. I understand wanting to maximize that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have not eliminated the possibility of him being a player in 2 years.
Nope.
Like, I think that is still certainly possible for him, and as long as that's a possibility, he can't be a captain again.
I think what Justin Rose just proved he can do for Europe, why can't Keegan be that guy? I would rather see Keegan be the guy in the locker room as the player.
Yes.
Saying, not only can we go do this, but I'm going to help you guys do this.
Yes.
And I'm going to get all the points, and this is my revenge. And then it can be about Keegan because he's part of the team.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I actually wouldn't mind even just seeing him completely separate the two, saying, I don't want to be captain, I want to be a player.
Yeah.
And let's see what you can do in the next year.
I would fully be behind that.
So if it's not Keegan.
Yeah. And again, I don't think it can be. Maybe they offer it to him again in 10 years.
Again,
I
just think we get lost in the world we live in of making it about the video and the likes and the Instagram and the commentary and Netflix, whatever it may be, that I have just this weird feeling they're going to run this back with Keegan. I want it to be Brandt Snedeker. If it's not Brandt Snedeker, what do you think of Webb Simpson?
I mean, he seems to kind of be on that short list, right, of guys that...
He was the top vice captain by Keegan Bradley at the Ryder Cup. He was also a 3-time player, 4-4-1 record, I believe, in his Ryder Cup history.
The record, I guess the record in the Ryder Cup doesn't necessarily matter to me.
No.
I was talking with a friend of mine about this week, and, you know, we had talked about Sneds, about how he could possibly... Well, he's never won a major. Strick never won a major. Like, that was, for the longest time, to me, the dumbest thing that the PGA of America did, and Strick broke that mold of, oh, well, you have to have a major, you've had to play in a Ryder Cup. Being a part of the team competitions, yes, because then you know what to expect.
Yeah.
You know what's good, what's not good, especially if you've played on multiple teams. Maybe you've had a good captain, a bad captain, and Stricker certainly, I think, went through that. So I think that's what made him a good captain, borrowed stuff from the good captains, saw what didn't work for the bad captains, and was able to tailor his style that way. I mean, I could get behind Webb Simpson because
he does give me a little Luke Donald vibe, like very likable. Has played for his team.
Yeah, and again,
well respected. Somebody
who's not really a player anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the Keegan conversation with Webb Simpson. He's still very involved in the game, plays in enough events.
Yeah, like he's still got a card and he's still around, and I like that aspect. And I understand what the PGA of America was going for when they asked Keegan, but again, the process was just I don't think they thought it all the way through.
Yeah,
is the problem.
Yeah, it was your pick last week, and I want to see where you stand with Fred Couples.
I think Freddie would be I think he would do a great job. I think the connections that Freddie still has a little bit through Tiger. Right? Because it always seems like it's Tiger, Freddie, always playing practice rounds at Augusta, and then you'll see, JT sometimes plays with them because he's tight with Tiger, and then you'll always see kind of like a weird random name sometimes pop up when they're practice. So I think he's got enough connections where everybody would respect Freddie. Everybody loves Freddie, right? Easygoing guy. He's had successful President's Cup as a captain. I'm surprised he hasn't been a Ryder Cup captain, or they haven't asked him at this point yet. And I think he is somebody, again, it's first and foremost, do you think you can play in the Ryder Cup? Like, that's the first question that you're asking everybody right now, and it's crazy that we're there.
I mean, they might be asking Justin Rose the exact same question, by the way, on the European side.
Oh,
if they decide not to go Luke Donald and they want to go Justin Rose.
100%.
That might be their first question they ask, too.
But Rose knows Like, if he says yes, he's essentially saying his career is over. I would be behind Freddie. I could get behind
Here's
Freddie.
the one thing I worry about with Freddie Couples. I agree with everything you said. Players respect him. Some of the top players on Team USA. I know he's very close with JT through his relationship with Tiger. He's very close with Spieth, who I think we both would love to see play for another Ryder Cup team.
I mean, I'm guessing he's got a decent relationship with Cantlay because why am I blanking on Joey?
Okava.
Yeah, is his former caddy.
Yeah. But I wonder, like, who would his vice captains be? Like,
Tiger.
Would he like roll it back? Maybe.
Tiger would be a vice captain.
Like, would he roll back like Jim Furyk? Like, do you want to see Jim Furyk's? Do you want to see, even if Stricker came back as a vice captain?
If Strick came back as a vice captain,
do we want to see that old
great.
Guard still in
I
the Ryder
see
Cup conversation?
I want to see a mix.
Because there was a conscious effort to bring in a Kevin Kisner, a Gary Woodland, obviously Snedeker and Webb Simpson,
and that's why
around
I liked
Keegan.
And that's why I liked Furyk around. I don't think Furyk was a bad captain. I think he just kind of got dealt an awkward hand based on who his captain's picks needed to be. Like, he picked Tiger because Tiger literally just won the Tour Championship. Like, you couldn't not pick Tiger at that point. And Tiger was exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, he literally had spent so much effort and energy to win that event. So some of his captain's picks, it felt like he was kind of handcuffed to.
Would you take Keegan as a vice captain?
I would.
Yeah.
I would take Keegan as a vice captain.
I think he should be around it in some way.
Yes. And if Furyk isn't a part of the next one, I'm okay with that. I think Furyk was involved with this one because they knew they couldn't just have a bunch of guys who had never done it before.
Yeah. Well, he's coming off of a President's Cup win, too. And
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But you needed somebody who was involved and could be like, hey, this is the way we've done it before. If you want to do it that way, you can. If you don't, but here's general outline of how this has kind of been done. I think you needed that, and I think that's the role that Furyk served.
Is there anybody I have named that you think could be a dark horse to be named a captain? I know there were reports out there that Stuart Sink thought that he was going to be the next Ryder Cup captain, and then they called Keegan instead of him, where he was kind of led on that he was going to be, Ryder Cup captain. I don't know how I feel. Nothing about Stuart Sink excites me for that role.
But I think, would you have said that about Luke Donald 3 years ago? If you're a European fan,
I mean, one
who
of them's
had to
number
be
one
an
in
emergency.
The world. One's not. I mean, one's got a great accent. One doesn't.
One won a major. One didn't. Sink's got a major to his name, right? Like, I mean, it's not like he's not a high level player. He's just as high level player as Luke Donald was. I'd put them in the same class.
Yeah, I just think there's better names available for
the
United States than Stuart Sink.
The fact that he kind of let it be public, I don't like.
That probably tells me that he will never be it.
And that's what makes me think that they're probably, okay, well, we're gonna look past you.
What do you think of Snedeker, who I think should be the next Ryder Cup captain?
I guess I'm curious to see how this President's Cup goes. See if he does anything different.
But the problem is, I think they need to name him the Ryder Cup captain before the President's Cup.
Oh, I would agree.
I think that they need to make this either a 2-year contract or a one goes hand in hand with the next.
I would love whoever does it to have a 4-year plan. I would love whoever from that list of names that it's not just this one, but you're also getting Minnesota in 29. Like, you're gonna get the next two. Whatever happens, we need you to put together a 4-year plan, and I want to have a long-term outlook. And I think that's part of the problem that Team USA has had, is it's always just so short-term. And part of that is beyond all the players' control, because the PGA of America, per their bylaws, they have a turnover at the top every 2 years as well.
Yeah.
It's not like they have one person in charge of the PGA of America for 10 years, and he can try to put together this long-term plan that they have. It's just all this constant turnover, I think, ultimately affects everything. So to have, again, hey, Tiger, if you want to do it in a dare, great. You got to be in Minnesota in 4 years, too. Let's have a long-term plan for this, because that's one thing from the Europeans I think you can copy.
I think another thing that would be worth thinking about is more captain's picks, less auto picks, because it allows you to potentially build something greater with Team USA.
Yeah.
And, guys who might not be having the strongest seasons, because of where they're at on the PGA Tour, you still know what, you're building for the Ryder Cup, not just a PGA Tour schedule.
Yeah. And then you're forcing guys to try to get points and all those sorts of things. Again, you take a look at Team Europe. That's kind of what they did this year. With guys that weren't playing that well. Now, guys still had to earn their spots. And I think the biggest example is Matthew Fitzpatrick, who was not playing well. And they basically said, all right, you've got 6 weeks to figure this out. And if you don't, we're probably going to have to pick somebody else. And they played well in those 6 weeks when you play a lot on the European tour. So I think whoever the captain is, you just need to have a long-term plan. I want to get back to that. And I want to get back to you're an assistant captain. Then, because the problem with a lot of these guys, like, does Kiz do anything for you as a captain?
No, I think, honestly, he's a broadcaster. And let's leave it at that.
Okay. I could be talked into Gary Woodland.
Yeah, I think they're grooming him. I don't think he's ready for 27, but
neither do I.
He's
but
the type of guy who, respected, well-liked.
Well, it's just based
his
on
career's on the back end.
But that's the thing. I think he wants to give the career. He knows it's on the back end, and these next 2 years are probably his last chance to make a push. Not at making a Ryder Cup team, but like really getting back to the level that he was in 19 when he won a U.S. Open.
Yeah, post brain surgery, the steps that he's taken. This was a good season for him.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think he.
So I think he's encouraged by that
in 26.
Hey, I'm encouraged by that. Let's see if I can make a push and be a top 20 player again in the world.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, again, and if that's what Gary wants to do, like, do it, dude. I'm rooting for you. But then that means you're off the list of captain in 27.
Yeah. I don't think Woodland's in the conversation yet.
Okay. All right, then we're on the same page there. Who do you want? You want Sneds? If it's not Sneds, who is it?
Who do I want?
Yes.
I don't want to lose sight of, like, the entertainment value.
Mm-hmm.
Just, at this point, just put Tiger out there.
He's okay.
Push your chips in the middle. And
the problem with the entertainment thing is, I
think the smartest thing...
You know what's entertaining? Winning. That's what's entertaining. Okay, we have gone way too long. Again, here we are, running out of time, talking about the Ryder Cup. We also want to do a player segment that we're not going to have enough time for, but we're going to still try to jam in. That is coming up next here on the tee. But if you're looking to book a really good tee time, do it with The Bog. GolfTheBog.com is the website. Again, beautiful colors out there during the fall with a unique piece of property at the Bog Golf Course. Check it out, GolfTheBog.com. Look, we got fired up. We went 20 minutes. That ultimately is our gem of the week for going 20 minutes in our last segment.
Our producer might not call it the gem of the week, but
shout out to Will. But that is our gem of the week, brought to you by the Jewelry Center. Engagement rings, watches, whatever you're looking for when it comes to jewelry, the Jewelry Center has you covered. Brookfield, Greenfield, Orland, Burlington. Find them online at shoptjc.com. And we'll get to another gem of the week next week. We were supposed to talk about who we think could potentially be players in 2027. That's got to get punted to next week. It just has to be.
We're gonna do that segment right next week.
Yes, because we just don't have enough time left in the show today.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe some headlines will come in the next week too, and give us something else to talk about on top of those players.
Yeah, I've got a long list here.
Maybe Colin Morikawa retires or something and makes it easy for us.
Starts making booties for his dog full time. That's what he retires to go and do. But just quickly here, but before we hit our next break, if it's not going to be, because I don't think it's going to be Rose. It seems like Rose still thinks that he has a chance to make the Ryder Cup team. And if it's not Donald, I don't know where Europe goes.
Eduardo Molinari. I know he's,
Ooh, what about his brother?
Francesco?
Yeah. I think you go Francesco.
Well, yeah, Eduardo's like their secret sauce.
It seems like
you don't put that guy in the public.
Well, and Dodo feels like he's completely okay being the guy behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he wants to be elevated to captain. I think he loves what he does and just wants to keep doing that in perpetuity for the team.
Honestly, I think like Americans should start a GoFundMe to buy him some real estate in the U.S. and let's call him an American and bring him to our squad. Because that's what we need.
Just poach him. Hey, he's going to enter the transfer portal, and we're going to make sure that we recruit him.
We need some NIL funds to get Dodo over to the U.S.
For Team USA. I had a lot of fun playing a game. It's been a minute since I had played it, but I'm going to explain it to Steven on the golf course, plus get Steven's one call on what his go-to game on the golf course is. That's coming. Still plenty of time left, and I was out there on Sunday, the Wisconsin Club. It is singing right now. In such good shape. So much fun to be out there.
You were so worried, and I said, just you wait. Just you wait. Fall golf, That's where we shine out there.
And again, you should be joining right now. If you're looking to play some great golf over the next few weeks we have of golf here in Wisconsin, why don't you join out at the Wisconsin Country Club? No amenities, no food and beverage minimums, just the amazing golf course Steven and I constantly talk about, plus other great things. Steven loves taking advantage of the pool when the pool's open during the summer.
Did another cheat code this past week. Took the kids out 10 minutes on the range for the 3-year-old ADD kicked in and drove 1 through 18 and. Telling you.
Kids love golf carts.
Golf carts are life.
Check it out, WisconsinCountryClub.com, just a fairway away. So I was out there. We played so I played a couple of different games over the last couple of weeks. One was with a partner of ours. We went out to Morningstar and with a gentleman out there who's kind of a member, and he had this great game that he plays that I enjoyed, and it's really he loved it for he would call business golf. So, everybody's out there. Maybe some guys have handicaps, some guys don't. It's called 3-putt poker. So he had a deck of cards, and everybody at the start, you got 4 guys, everybody throws $5 in.
Okay.
If you 3-putt at any point, you add another $1 to the pot.
Okay.
But if you 1-putt, you get a card. If you 1-putt for a birdie, you get 2 cards. You chip in off the green for birdie, I think it might have been 2 or 3. But he had a lot of different ways where you could get cards. And at the end of the round, whoever has the best the 5-card poker hand wins the pot. I thought it was a genius game because, again, it doesn't matter if you're hitting it well. It just, you get near the green. And there's no limit on the number of cards you can have.
Man, I'm all in on that game because I've played Snake before. The 3-putt game on Snake. If you have a 3-putt, then, you add another $1 to the back of the Snake. Whoever has the Snake at the end has to, pay everybody else out that pot. And I think that game's so stupid because there's, odd strategy involved if you're not trying to, play for a score and, giving somebody a putt, or making, it's just, no. I'm kind of in on that game.
No, and again, I think it's great for, again, maybe not if you've got 3 buddies that are all, and you guys are all kind of equal. Maybe that's not the game you play.
But it
it's
rewards
just a,
a 1-putt. That's what I like.
Yeah, it just rewards a 1-putt.
It doesn't just punish a 3-putt.
Well, and we found ourselves the entire time, if somebody, duffed a chip and they were still shorting on the French, oh, that's great for the game. Then lag that thing up there, get your 1-putt, get your card. That's great for the game. That was something I swear we said 100 times throughout the. Maybe it wasn't a great shot. That's great for the game. And so we had a lot of fun with that. And then here's another fun one, but this one requires a large group. So if you have a big group, like when you were down in Pinehurst, if you're looking for a group game for everyone to play, it's called Catch 22. So you've got 2 groups of, in this instance, 2 groups of 4. You have to take 22 scores per 9 holes for your group, and you have to take 1 score per hole. Minimum of 1 score per hole, 22 for the 9, and then you add it up, obviously, on both sides. You're taking 44 scores total. But then you have to declare after the hole what scores you're taking. So it's I want to go back and take that. Nope, can't do that. You have to take 1 score per hole, and you have to, because then there's a lot of strategy of when you're taking a score, when you're not taking a score. Obviously,
a lot of pressure if you don't take a score and needing a score.
So, for example, I had played it on Friday out at Dretska. I was playing with a bunch of people out at Dretska, and we thought about taking a par on one of the holes, decided no, because number 8's coming up, and everybody's getting a shot. So we want to pile up there because a par is worth a birdie, and the par 5s out at Dretska I think are pretty gettable. So if you're getting a stroke on the par 5 with the group we were playing, and the strategy ended up paying off, I think we made 3 pars. So it was like making 3 birdies. And so it's fun. It's a way to kind of get everybody involved. If you've got a larger group, like when you were down at Pinehurst, you've got 8. I mean, if you have 12 guys, you could do it as well. But that's a fun game I've played a couple of different times now with larger groups.
Yeah, I'm kind of a purist in how I golf. I'm just kind of like a front back total type of guy.
Really?
That or
so you're one call, that's all. Gruber Love says 1 call, that's all. Stephen Watson's favorite golf course game.
No. I didn't say favorite. I'm saying most commonly played.
Okay.
My favorite is Vegas.
Oh, Vegas gets dangerous.
Depends who your friends are and how much you want to play per point. The right number is probably 50 cents a point. I've played $1 and I've been on both sides. More often than not, I'm on the wrong side.
So the group
donating to my friends' college kids' funds.
Group behind me when we were playing up in Michigan a couple years ago at Sweetgrass. If you've ever played Sweetgrass, the first hole very gettable, short par 4. They were playing Vegas, I think, for $1 a point behind us.
Ooh.
Guy holed out on number 1 for a 2. So that flipped it pretty quick, and they were playing catch-up. Like, they lost, I don't want to say it was a lot of money, because it wasn't, like, a huge amount, but it was enough where one of the guys in the group, when we played with them that afternoon, didn't want to gamble anymore because they got taken to the cleaners pretty good in the morning round.
I mean, the nice thing about it is even if you're not playing well, you can still make that one hole can flip it enough to get kind of you back into the game. I find more often than not things even out or get pretty close to even when it's all said and done. That's what I like about Vegas. But, man, you're on the wrong side of that.
Oh, it gets away from you quickly. Yeah. Just like the show got away from us quickly today. Again,
we had a
plan.
We didn't stick to the plan, but the beautiful thing is we've got a couple more weeks of On the Tee this season.
Hand in the air, I will own that this week. We do have what we think that Ryder Cup team could look like in 2027. I've got a list of players. Steven has a list of players. We'll dive into